Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Firstly, this is not a video about whether Mufti Menk should have been at the IFTAR. I think we know the answer. Personally, if I was a leading public da'i like the Mufti, I wouldn't be going within 200 miles of that place, let alone attending an official event, simply because by normalizing ties with Israel is indirectly supporting the occupation and oppression of our fellow Muslims in Palestine. Because me going there as a superstar da'i with my international clout, it'll do two things. Firstly, it'll legitimize that country's actions, and secondly, it'll make me a part of the propaganda. But here's the thing. If we accept it was an error on the Mufti's part, was it consciously done, or did the Mufti just mess up? I actually think it's the latter. I don't think he was aware of what was going on. Not really. Sure, he knew it was the UAE. He knew it was the country that had normalized ties with Israel. Come on, even the Amazonian tribes know about that. But here's the deal. Does the Mufti even care enough about politics to appreciate that side of the issue? Now, that's not because he doesn't care about Palestine. He says he does, and I'm prepared to take his word for it. What I'm saying is, he's just not interested in the whole political drama. As he says, he wants to be above it. He thinks he ought to be above it. So let's just push aside whether that's correct or not for a second. I'm coming to that. But I really think, in the Mufti's head, he genuinely didn't see this coming. If he's guilty of anything, it's naivete. Naivete on the world stage. And so it'd be cruel and unjust to say he was intentionally there to support Israel. Yes, we can say his actions have consequences that are not good for the Palestinians. But does he consciously want that? No, that's a stupid assertion. Let's now get to the heart of the matter, the politics. The Mufti was almost certainly set up. Come on, he's a Muslim celebrity, and this wasn't the Oscars, where you've got a ton of stars. He was probably the main star at the event. So his table is going to be planned in advance, and there's going to be a conscious decision by the organizers about who's going to be the lucky person to sit next to this star. Oh, and it just so happened to be the leading Zionist in the UAE. No. That was intentional, in my view. It was a PR stunt by Israel and the UAE. And surprise, surprise, that's how Israel is running the entire show on social media. UAE served the Mufti up on a plate. Hey Israel, to show you how much we love you and mean it, we're only gifting you the biggest da'i on the planet. So the Mufti got taken for a ride. He walked right into it because he doesn't care enough about politics. And that's a massive, massive blind spot. And that's exactly my point. When you don't care about politics and you're operating in a political world, you leave yourself open to be taken advantage of. And sooner or later, politics will find you. You can pretend as much as you like. This world is all innocent, full of well-intentioned people. But it's not. It's full of two-faced people with secret agendas, hidden motives, and dubious characters who won't think twice about exploiting you. And that's why in Islam, there's no separation of politics from deen. Politics is a part of deen. It makes sense, because in life, there's really no getting away from it. It's the height of naivete to want to separate them. Even if you want to, it's impossible. Now, the Mufti wanted to keep the two apart in Kashmir, perform a nikah, boom, get out. Again, he wanted to keep the politics out of it in the UAE. Oh, it's just an iftar, no biggie. But in both cases, he got exploited. First by the Indians, now the Israelis. What does that tell you? It shows you can try and stay out of politics, but it'll find you, mark my words. And if you're not politically savvy, not only will you get blamed for your naivete, but worse, you'll get exploited by bad faith actors to advance anti-Muslim agendas. So imagine, you're tirelessly bringing people to Islam, strengthening people's faith, but also indirectly aiding the oppression of Muslims. I know this is harsh, but is that a situation you want to be in? So it seems the Mufti has a couple of options. Either he heavily vets where he's going in advance, or he gets smart about politics, saying I'm not a political person in my view, and then going to these controversial places isn't sustainable. It's heartbreaking for you because of the backlash. No one wants to see that. And it's obviously bad for the ummah. I'd prefer it if the Mufti embraced the full spectrum of our beautiful deen, which includes matters of siyasa. Relationship advice, mental health and spirituality is of course so important for our ummah to tackle. No one's saying you shouldn't talk about this too. But you can't keep yourself veiled from politics, oppression and tyranny of Muslims either, especially when you've got the opportunity and the clout. The Prophet and the Salaf didn't, and neither should we. They set the best example, and we should follow them to the best of our ability, inshallah. A lot of angry Muslims noticed how you didn't condemn Israel in your reaction after the infamous IFTAR. Again, it seems to the watching Muslims, you're not interested in getting involved in the politics of the Middle East. Yes, you expressed support for Palestine, but you stopped short of condemning Israel. Now, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's in your heart, but the perception is you did it not to get involved in the politics. Once again, to a lot of Muslims who don't separate deen from politics, and frankly Muslims who understand the true Islam, this is unacceptable for a leading Muslim da'i. What's the job of a da'i? To spread the call of Islam, convey the truth about our purpose in life for the benefit of our afterlife, for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, if you're not addressing siyasa in your da'wah, then that's a problem. You're literally making a distinction in Islam that doesn't exist. So once again, Mufti, if you're watching this, please take that crucial step. Embrace the role of a full spectrum Muslim da'i in the mold of the Salaf. With your talents, charisma and clout, you'll benefit the ummah in ways you cannot imagine. Everything you've achieved so far, mashallah, is a blessing from Allah. But you'll achieve much more with Allah's blessing if you take that step. And with your influence, lead on political matters too. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.